America, a nation of destiny, conceived in liberty, forged by faith, strengthened through family. For generations, a beacon of hope for those seeking opportunity and yearning to breathe free. The Pilgrims came to this land seeking freedom to worship as they chose. They saw themselves as a new Israel, crossing the wilderness, seeking a promised land. Though many starved, they saved the grain that was to be planted for their future. They first built their church and meeting house, and then their own homes. Freedom, faith, and family is what bound them together and kept them strong. Their ideals forged America's founding spirit and were embodied in its principles.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights.
America fell far short of its ideals, but despite the injustice of slavery, the Native American trail of tears, and a history of greed and corruption, that founding spirit endured, and the nation prospered. In the 20th century, America rose to defeat fascism, communism, and tyranny. But new and greater challenges remain. As we confront the specter of global terrorism, more insidious foes threaten from within. The breakdown of the family, moral confusion, and the decline of traditional values, alienation and violence among youth. Transcending race and nationality, America is a model of the one family of humankind. Will this nation rise to its responsibility to enhance the freedom and prosperity of all nations, or will it decline like the mighty civilizations of the past? For 36 years, Reverend and Mrs. Sun Myung Moon have invested their heart and soul to awaken this nation to its destiny as a global peacemaker. Their personal example and teaching emphasize the fundamental principles that lead to lasting peace: loving one's enemy, living for the sake of others, and building a culture of peace through loving, God-centered families. A deep personal encounter with Jesus at age 15 led Reverend Moon to dedicate his life to ending human suffering and realizing God's dream, one human family under God. Despite repeated persecution and imprisonment, he overcame every injustice, meeting opposition with faith and answering hatred only with love.
The prophet is always misunderstood. The masses will not see the vision. And the same thing happened to Martin Luther King and is happening to Reverend Moon.
He can love people who do not agree with him. That is very big. We live in a world of small men. There are very few big men, and I mean spiritually big, who can look at someone who may have a faith totally different and sit down with that person, feed that person, talk to that person, love that person.
Reverend and Mrs. Moon's personal example of love and service has inspired millions around the world to lead lives of service to humanity. But the heart of Reverend Moon's vision is the family as the cornerstone of lasting peace. In families, we learn to love, trust, and live for others, the virtues that lead to peace. A global movement for the blessing of marriage renews the ideal of God-centered families as the owners of true love. Ideal families beyond race, culture, and religion are the model for living together in peace, creating one family of humankind. Knowing America's historical role, Reverend and Mrs. Moon have invested their lives to revive the nation's founding spirit of freedom, faith, and family. Arriving in 1971, Reverend Moon spoke on God's hope for America and the future of Christianity in cities throughout the nation, inspiring Americans' youth to create a new pilgrim movement. Having experienced firsthand the tyranny of communism, he established educational institutions such as the American Family Coalition and founded the Washington Times newspaper to strengthen America's resolve for freedom and peace. Creating the National Council for Church and Social Action, he purchased 300 trucks for interfaith community service in all 50 states. An interfaith effort to renew the family led to the founding of the American Clergy Leadership Conference. Christian leaders toured the nation with Reverend and Mrs. Moon, visiting 52 cities in 52 days, with the message, rebuild the family, restore the community, renew the nation and the world. 120 Christian leaders journeyed to the Holy Land, embracing their Jewish and Muslim brethren to achieve peace through reconciling the children of Abraham. This movement for peace has grown to embrace every field of human endeavor, a movement for purity and absolute sexual morality. Interreligious dialogue, reconciliation, and harmony. The Washington Times, UPI, and publications promoting values in media. The University of Bridgeport, Sun Moon University, elementary and secondary schools around the world, shipbuilding, fish processing, and aquatic leisure activities, hospitals, service and relief work, and service for peace. Arts and culture, the International Peace Sports Festival, and the World Peace Cup, and a variety of business enterprises to support these initiatives. The movement has drawn like-minded individuals and leaders from every race and nationality. More than 100,000 religious and civic leaders, diplomats, current and former heads of state, have been appointed as ambassadors for peace, working for peace in troubled areas of the world. To support the UN in its efforts for peace, Reverend Moon proposed an interreligious council to address the cultural and religious dimensions of conflict. Ambassadors for Peace have established such peace councils at every level. More than 12,000 such ambassadors have journeyed to the Holy Land to advance the Middle East Peace Initiative. For their lifetime efforts to liberate God and realize one human family, Reverend and Mrs. Moon have been honored as the King and Queen of Peace. The Universal Peace Federation was launched in 2005 at Lincoln Center in New York City with the mission to bring peace to the entire human family. Among its many initiatives, the World Peace King Tunnel will link an international highway system across the Bering Strait between Russia and North America, connecting the world as a single community. Reverend and Mrs. Moon have traveled to every corner of the world to share the UPF's message of peace. They were welcomed by heads of state, international religious leaders, and people of faith on every continent. Now their sons, daughters, and grandchildren have taken up the mission to spread this message of love and hope, together with ambassadors for peace from many nations.
I do wear many different hats, but the hat that I'm wearing today as I come before you is the hat of a son carrying on the work of his father.
Having just completed a tour of Korea and Japan, now Dr. Hak Ja-moon and her daughters-in-law will visit all 50 states to awaken this nation to its destiny, to hasten peace and prosperity for the world. Dr. Moon is a leader in her own right. As the founder of the Women's Federation for World Peace, she is also the mother of 13 children. She and her daughters embody the role of women as peacemakers. She has delivered this message from the halls of the U.S. Congress to the Kremlin and Beijing's Great Hall of the People. She was one of the first Asian women to address the United Nations. With the example and leadership of true parents and their family, let us each strive to be a peacemaker, beginning in our own family and community. And may America founded as one nation under God, show the way to become one family under God.